Yeah, listen, thanks very much, Cathaoirleach, and thanks to the many deputies for the debate here as well this evening. I think it's very clear across the floor of the Dáil the strong support that there is for afforestation and for growing the area we have in the country under forestry. And it's not often we have debates in the Dáil here in forestry, but I think it's welcome to see that strong level of support for afforestation and for growing forestry. And indeed, and listen, just before I start off, just to pick up on a couple of points that came from contributions. So Deputy Sherlock was, I just want to correct him so that because he said it once or twice before, just so it's clear what the situation is. He was referring to new licences and the level of new licences over the last 2, 3, 4 years, and he was saying that the level of new licences is not matching the level of felling, so therefore we weren't planting as much as we were felling. And he said it once or twice, but it's really important just to get this correct, okay? The level of new licences are entirely new licences, non-forested ground before. It's additional to what was there before. Whenever you fell land, if you have land in forestry, whenever you fell it, that felling licence you get to fell it is also a planting licence, and you're actually legally obliged to replant it. So every hectare of ground in the country that's in forestry and that's felled, it's automatically replanted. All of the new afforestation licences that we issue then, we need to issue more, all of the new ones that we issue are in addition to that. So it's extra forestry. You hold what you have, but you grow more. So that's so just to be clear on that. So for example, like I mean, if you look since 2000 and let me see here. Since 2006, okay, back in 2006 in the country we had 697,000 of hectares under forestry in 2006. Just last year that had grown to 808,000 hectares under forestry. Okay, so it had been growing. And now what we're planning to do. So now what we're planning to do now is our targets now are to grow that further by another 400,000 hectares by the year 2050. So that's just to be clear, and it's important people understand that piece, okay? And listen, to take up Deputy Michael Healy-Rae in relation to, listen, you were making the point that Minister Hackett was the most failed forestry minister and the worst forestry minister since 1946, I think you said. Listen, I mean, you have to... No, it's not. No, listen. Let's deal with the facts, Deputy Healy-Rae. Let's deal with the facts. Let's deal with the facts, okay? Let's be proportionate. Let's be proportionate. And we'll deal with that too, okay? But let's deal with the facts.
Sorry, it's through the chair. The minister has the floor. Through the chair.
Let's deal with the facts and let's be proportionate, okay? So listen, when both of us came to office, and I was a month or two after Deputy Hackett, when both of us came to the Department of Agriculture, we had a crisis in forestry. This thing was on the floor. We had a massive backlog. Which had evolved from a change in a court case back in 2017, which meant that every licence application took a hell of a lot more time and effort and staff time than I know. And so there was a backlog of over 6,000 licences at that stage. Okay, there was 6,000 licences, but over 120 days. That's what we faced when we came in, right? 2 years ago. I remember back to Christmas 2020. Sawmills across the country were running out of wood. Couldn't get it. I remember the crisis meetings we were having. Just the first. Well, listen. I mean, we'll always hear about it from you after the fact. Okay.
Can we let the Minister finish without interruption,
I'm just telling
please?
you, just in terms of Minister Hackett being the worst minister since 1946. Okay. Just let's deal with facts, please. Let's hear the facts. Let's hear the facts. Let's hear the facts. Let's hear the facts. So. Massive backlog. So over the last 2 years, by addressing that backlog that was there, waiting for us when we came in, we've taken it from a situation where back in August 2021, there was, for example, it had built up to 6,000 licences waiting more than 120 days to be decided. We now have that down to 1,983 waiting more than 120 days. It's coming down every week. That's what we've done, okay? Then let's look... Well, listen,
sorry, one second, Minister, sorry.
Yeah, come on.
Right, this isn't a question and answer session.
So,
you had 6 minutes to be fair, okay?
Sorry. Listen, lads.
The Minister has the floor, please.
And then, look, we have published the biggest forestry policy premiums ever in the history of the state just before Christmas. Ever in the history of the state. 60%, listen, you just don't want to hear the facts. 60% increases in premiums, right? So, and also what we did is, in the outgoing programme, has Minister Hackett done this, okay? On the outgoing programme, you can only get premiums for 15 years, okay, if you're a farmer or if you're a non-farmer. Well, we've done we've increased it for farmers from 15 years to 20 years. Farmers now will get a 1/3 extra premium than a non-farmer and can claim the BPS, their entitlements on that land too, which a non-farmer can't. That's what we've brought in, okay? You take native trees now, okay? The annual premium per hectare is €1,137 under Minister Hackett's and the government's programme. €1,137, okay, for 20 years. Unprecedented, okay? And what our message, listen, please.
The Minister, conclude,
listen, please. So our message is to the farmers across this country, we want farmers to consider whether they can incorporate some forestry into their land and whether they can make income from that. And listen, you're a shrewd, and you have a good eye, Deputy Healy-Rae, for enterprise whenever you see it. You know, I've no doubt whenever that forestry programme was announced, you would have been looking at it in good detail to see if there was an opportunity in there in relation to where you'd have there you go. 25, fair play. No, so, and listen, if it made sense 25 years ago, Deputy Healy-Rae, I'm sure you know better than anyone. You know better than anyone now. So, no, exactly. If it made sense 25 years ago, you know better than anyone now that it makes even more sense now and that it pays even better now. And for every farmer, and again, that income will be tax-free. Really, really. And so our whole objective is, and our whole message to farmers is, our whole message to farmers is, we're backing you, we're providing options, we're providing really, really good income. If you have an acre or two or a hectare or two in your farm, which you could bring into forestry, it makes a hell of a lot of sense, okay?
Sorry, so, please, can we go through the chair, please, Mr. Speaker?
So it's all about backing farmers. That forestry programme, best has ever been introduced in the state. It's going to really, really see a significant change, and we've now moved out of the crisis situation to a situation where it's now getting into an equilibrium, and we're driving down that backlog, okay? So it's about driving that on and backing farmers to do it and putting farmers at the centre. Kielce also then have a strong role to play. They used to do a lot of afforestation. They haven't been doing it since 2004. Their 10-year strategic plan outlines how they want to contribute to that again by doing 100,000 hectares of the 400,000 we plan to do nationally by 2050. They were looking then at options, which is within their semi-commercial state remit. They're looking at options as how they can get into doing that. They have explored then this investment option as part of that, okay? And they have signed up to a 5-year contract, which they are now contractually obliged to do. We have engaged with them in relation because we want to look at how we can get Kielce to work. It's not our preferred option as to how this would happen, but they've signed up to a 5-year contract, which is well within their remit, and operating as a commercial semi-state agency, absolutely getting on with their job. But we have sat down because we want to see how we can enable Kielce in terms of helping them to partner with farmers, but also in terms of how they can work more closely with the state in relation to actually helping them to get back into the forestation space again, like they had been in the past. And that's something we're going to explore with them now further. But they have signed up to this 5-year contract, which in its totality of 12,000 or of 4,000 hectares of new afforestation would amount to 1% of what our overall national target is for new afforestation between now and 2050. So it's a small part of what our overall target was. But we need to enable them to do it further. We're looking at how we can work with them so that they can partner with farmers. We're also looking at how we can work with them in terms of how the state can work more closely with them as well. So listen, looking at the Sinn Féin motion this evening, I say it's been we'll have a really good engagement and discussion tomorrow at the committee where there'll be a lot more opportunity for over and back. And for discussion, that'll be very good. But listen, looking at the Sinn Féin motion, the Sinn Féin motions are asked for 3 things. First of all, that the Gresham House deal would be done away with. Well, that's contractually already signed up to. It's a 5-year contract that Kielce have signed up to. We're looking at how we can enable Kielce going forward from that to work closely with the state and to work closely with farmers, okay? That's the first part. The second part is that we'd publish our new forest strategy as soon as possible, and an ambitious one, and that's what we will be doing. We're working and finalising at the moment, and it will be a really good forest strategy to go with the unprecedentedly high premium rates that we already announced just before Christmas. And the third part of the motion is that we need to have good, strong licensing ambition next year, or this current year, 2023, to back up the industry, and that's what we're doing. And we're improving every week, and we're driving down the backlog. Last year we licensed twice as much felling, for example, as was harvested as we did the year before. So listen, we are doing everything we can to back farmers to do forestry. We're backing the country to help meet its climate emissions plans through forestry, putting farmers very much at the centre of it, giving farmers the 20-year premiums versus the 15 years which was there for others, giving them a 1/3 advantage for premiums over anybody else, which hadn't been there before. And listen, I welcome, which I hadn't necessarily detected in the past, I welcome the strong sentiment from many across the floor tonight in relation to actually trying to improve our afforestation in the years ahead. And I look forward to working with you and hearing any ideas you have,
Thank you,
actually.
Minister.
Not that I'll hold my breath, hearing any ideas you have as to how we can try and do that further.
We're running badly over.